Oh, let me tell you something. Busting makes me feel good.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Blockbusting, the podcast where we love to hate the movies. I'm your host, Jay Light. Joining me today, my buddy, Dan Vear.
How we doing?
I'm all right, Dan. How about you?
Oh, I'm not as good as you look, Jay, but I aspire to one day be as good looking as you. So,
Man, you're good looking on a different level, though. You got the Viking good looks. I got the Crystalia victim good looks.
you got the squints from the Sandlot grown up look.
Yeah,
I love it.
Somebody did send me a Squints streetwear shirt the other day. Like I've done roast battles before where Pat Barker, my buddy, he's worn Squints shirts to battle me, it's just funny. But then anytime my friends see like Squints related clothing, they send it to me on Instagram. So I saw one that was like the Sandlot X Results. I was like, I guess it's cool. Sure, I'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a look. Everybody's got their own little look these days.
Yeah.
Girls fall in love with all kinds of different looks. Some girls like the Viking kind of guy. Other girls like Timothée Chalamet kind of guys that are like, they look like they're probably 28 years old, but look like they're like 14. So
They look like they can be the high school sweetheart that they never got a chance to actually date. That's
right.
That's my domain.
Yeah. I asked my girlfriend, I'm like, what is special about Timothée Chalamet? And she's just beautiful. I'm like, all right.
I mean, okay, yes, I get it. I see the appeal, but it's not for everybody.
I'm not doing it.
He's like a little elf boy, you put him in you make cookies, put him in a tree and then you put him in your pocket.
Right.
I just want him to leave his fudge stripes all over my dick. You know what I'm saying? That's
Jesus, Murphy. Oh my goodness.
Shout out Timothy. I know you're listening to this right now, so I appreciate continued fandom. Dan, actually, I am very surprised that Timothée Chalamet isn't in the movie that you talked about that you wanted to do today, which is Midsommar. It seems like a movie that's right up his alley to be in.
Right.
He could totally be the creepy, like, cult kid.
Right. He could be, they had the kid from We're the Millers, I can't remember that actor's name, but he could have probably played that, annoying friend or,
Yeah, I think that's Will Poulter,
people.
who's one of the kids, who's the annoying friend, the shitty American guy.
Yeah, shitty American. Like, 4 hours. It's going to take 4 hours to get there.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I still think the shittiest guy in this movie is still the boyfriend. I mean, the guy just from the get-go, like, all right, so I'm gonna start off my gripes.
Why do you not like this movie? Because I've having rewatched it, I can tell it's not for everybody, right? But there's so many different reasons why you might not like it, and I'm curious about what they are.
So the cringiness of the entire movie, how like almost every scene you're kind of like like please why, that feeling. I definitely hate those kind of movies, and this falls into that category for sure.
Yeah.
I just I don't know, man, like the plot, it's just you're rooting for you're not rooting for really anything. You're just kind of watching this like cult basically disassemble this shitty group of friends, because this group of friends it's not like a childhood best buds going on like a cool ass trip. It's like, we're gonna all of a sudden spend 6 weeks in Sweden just on a whim type thing. And like there's this whole battle about like the two theses. Like one kid's gonna go there and write his thesis, and then the shitty boyfriend, he like decides he's going to write his thesis at the same time. And there's like, no, like, since when does anybody give a fuck about each other's thesis and what you're going to write for your thesis in college? Like I personally don't know what any of my friends did to graduate or any of their thesis papers, but I know it was never that serious to where like if you're copying my thesis, that's like friendship over, bro. Like we can't.
I mean, I wrote my thesis in college about sitcoms and how they changed over the years. So if anybody stole that idea, good for you, because it was a really easy thesis to write. I'm totally support you getting high and watching a bunch of sitcom episodes like I did when I was a senior in college.
Yeah, and it's not like it's not. I mean, you could have two people do the same project, and the project's going to be completely different because you're two different people coming at it from two different perspectives. So that kind of was just like the whole friend group to me. Like the one you got the cult leader, or the cult member who every summer apparently goes back to this weird festival for 6 weeks, but they were saying that the feast or whatever only happens every 90 years in this cult. So, but they only live to be 72 years old. That's like by the way, they mention like, oh, these are the years that you're going to be going out and like Rumspringer type years. And these are the years that you're going to be like an elder. And then you're from 56 to 72, you're an elder. And then after that, she's like, what happens after you're 72? God, I hate this notification. What happens after? It's like 3 times it pops up. It's like, what happens after you're 72? And then the guy's just like, oh, you're cut. You're cut. And she's just like, okay, I'll buy that. Like, no one questions that, like, what do you do with your, and then the first day they just watch homegirl just like trust fall onto her face from not even, like, that's the thing. The cliff isn't even that big. They have to have a Gallagher mallet on fucking standby to just bash your brains in if you don't get
sledge-o-matic, yeah.
It's like pick a bigger cliff. They're like, oh, this is the way we choose to go out. And homegirl, like after the guy starts freaking the fuck out because he's like, these people are jumping off cliffs. I'm out. Like, fuck this, I'm out. I just saw dude Gallagher like literally get finished. He's like out, and then the chick's like, no, it's our custom. Like this is what we do, and I'm gonna be looking forward to this. It's like you guys have nursing homes, which good point, by the way. I will say, some people it's like you should have the option to just blow your brains out or end your life or whatever, because there's no need to sit on a feeding tube for the last 15 years of your life when you're 90. Like just call it quits, man. You had a good run. It's like I get that part. But I don't get the falling off a 40-foot cliff. Like, make it a 70-foot cliff. Something that you could for sure, like, fall on your feet and still die. Because the second dude, he doesn't even go face first. He just jumps. He's like, I want to break my legs.
He jumped, he broke his legs, and that's why he had to get smashed. But maybe that's a thing. Like, I mean, there's clearly a matriarchal element to their society. So maybe the guy is always supposed to land on his feet and get his head bashed in by the women of society. Maybe it's part of
it. Was like a 4-person little Gallagher crew. Like a little line. It was like the fucking.
It's probably all his daughter and granddaughters.
It looked like his family or whatever. But it was like,
there's a lot of incest in this cult. So who knows? Maybe they actually were.
Yeah. I mean, I'm watching Vikings right now. Me and my girlfriend are watching Vikings, and that show is fucking dope. And there's some weird culty, like, pagan fucking rituals where they're sacrificing all different types of shit. So, like, I've gotten used to that since having seen Midsommar the first time. So I feel like that wasn't as cringy for me this time coming around and seeing it. But still, like, it's just every time I just have this, like, feeling of, like, so weird. This is so weird. And, like, the 40-foot cliff,
it is, like, I mean, it is really weird. And that's the thing is it's like I said, I can totally understand why somebody wouldn't like this movie because the things that came to mind when I was rewatching it. Yeah. But just a disclaimer, I love this movie and I love it for the second time. Yeah. But I'm down for all of the things that could be something that people take issue with. Like you have a problem with the pacing of it, it sounds like. Where everything is like they tell you what's going to happen and then they just show you in excruciating detail how long it takes for all that stuff to happen while these stupid Americans just can't figure out how to escape or what's going to happen to them.
It's almost like in a typical thriller, like scary movie, you have the whole group, they go camping, something's out in the woods. What is it? And then it's like they all are aware that shit's going down, and
right.
Like, oh, Timmy just got murdered by this, whatever in the woods. This, it's like they're just all like blissfully, they're on shrooms, which, by the way, some of the best tripping scenes I've seen in a movie. I will say that.
Very accurate.
Like being a lover of shrooms and acid myself, it's definitely how like the visuals and like the
breathing,
the peripheral,
I love
vision, like the
when
flowers,
When I watched it with my girlfriend, because she's never done any psychedelics before, and I have, and I've done them extensively, and I've told her, I was like, this is what it's like. Everything's just kind of like moving and breathing, and it feels just like, oh, it's all good. I
like
will
that
say,
fucking breath they do that. Sometimes
Have you ever seen, the only other time that I could ever think of a movie that actually had a drug experience that managed to pull off on camera the feeling, and it's the flip side of Midsommar, because this is a movie about having a bad trip, but is climax. Did we talk about that before?
I think we might have mentioned it in the
might have mentioned it because we did your podcast, Bukufaya, and but Climax is this movie that it's basically like the whole premise of it is it's a bad trip because somebody spikes the punch with acid at a party, and then everybody is dosed and nobody realizes what's going on. And then they start like dying, and the whole camera, like there's a scene where 20 minutes of the whole movie is shot upside down on a single tracking shot.
Oh man.
And there's like people having seizures and like fucking on the ground.
That sounds terrible.
It's so bad, but I walked out of that movie feeling like I'd had a bad acid trip. Because I was just like, oh, I need to like sit down and like have some orange spice.
Yeah, man. I definitely like the tripping scenes, but there was just a couple things like the little pube cartoon, like the pube and period blood little cocktail that's supposed to be a love spell. Right. I was like, fuck that noise, man. I don't want that shit at all. So that was like a cringy thing because there's a lot of symbolism. Yeah, there's a lot of symbolism in this movie. Like even in as she's like sitting there or like laying in the fetal position from her sister murking herself and both of her parents, which totally fucked up.
Oh my god, it's such
tying
a
the fucking
way to
hose,
start the movie.
Which they put like a pound or like an entire roll of duct tape on the bottom of that door, which is like if your parents don't wake up from you fucking stretching out that much duct tape, got a little bit of an issue there. But no, just a terrible way to go, man. Like duct taping the fucking hose to your
into her mouth,
and she attached to the car, like,
and you could see that she puked and clearly like the shit was in her eyes.
But
that's the thing, like Ari Aster over the course of his two movies that are their feature films is the kind of guy who like will spend the first 10 to 15 minutes of a movie setting you up with a really horrifying image, and then it just kind of goes, that shit's gonna go crazy from there. The thing with Midsommar compared to Hereditary, which, have you seen Hereditary?
I don't believe I have.
Okay, so Hereditary is his debut. And Hereditary is a much more traditional horror movie where a lot of it involves ghosts or haunting kind of stuff, and you're not sure whether there's like a possession going on. But it starts out with, I don't want to spoil it, but there's like about the same time in the movie from when you see the sister having killed herself and her family with the carbon monoxide. You see this like horrifying image that is just on the screen, and it sits there, and then from there the movie it ratchets up the intensity even further.
And I feel like this movie definitely leaves you with a couple scenes where you're just like like the fucking the first bounce off the rock where you see the chick's face just completely just murked, and then they come back to like the gal, and then like while she's tripping they like revisit it
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I thought we were over this shit. God damn it,
Dude.
man.
And the part where, because this is the thing, is like Hereditary, like I said, the pacing is much more horror movie tradition where it's very quick and jump scary and everything happens where it's like an immediate break in tension. Midsommar, it lengthens all of it out.
Right.
To
It's
this point
definitely
where
a
all the shit
different type of
Mhm.
it's definitely a different type because like in a traditional horror movie, like, you know, if you're watching it, the music's like and then you're like, like shit's about to go down, like something's gonna pop out, like I'm gonna get scared, but I don't want to be scared because I know it's gonna fucking happen. Like you're like, I'm not a big fan of like the jump scare movies, you know. But this movie, like, it definitely it wasn't jump scary, and it was pretty much light the entire time. Like, there's no real darkness, but at the same time, you are kind of like freaked the fuck out because you're just in your mind, or in my mind, I'm going through it like, what would I be doing in this situation? Like, if like members of the group just started like bouncing and like, you know, the London couple, the guy disappears, and then there's a moment where I think they just crowned her the May Queen or whatever, or there was a scream, but it's the quietest fucking scream you've ever heard.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to stop it and rewind it and like turn the volume all the way up just to hear it to make sure it was there. But it was like so subtle. So that's another thing where it's like symbol, like we were talking about symbolism, but I went off on a tangent. But even when she's in the fetal position, like with she's got a painting on her wall, like this painting, but it's like a bear with like a little girl or whatever. You know, with like flowers.
And
so
that's
definitely
like, even at the very beginning of the movie, which I remember when I saw this in theaters for the first time.
Yeah.
And it opens up with that crazy tapestry.
Yeah.
And I was just like trying to figure out what was on it the first time. I was like, it was just so overwhelming. And then the second time I watched it and I started to look, I was like, all right, what's in one of these panels? And the whole movie is laid out for you.
It's almost like the beginning tapestry basically is like a quick little picture of like like a storyboard animation of what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But then throughout the movie, you see like little symbols, like as the shitty boyfriend is waiting to talk to the wife or whatever, or that like the older elder chick.
Mm-hmm.
He's sitting there like looking at this bear getting burned on like the wallpaper.
Yep.
And then they walk into the next room and it's another room of just like all these symbols on the wall. So there's definitely, and not to mention that where they sleep.
Yeah, where they sleep, all
it's
the
like
stuff
the
in the walls.
Sistine Bar or the Sistine Barn. It's like
Mm-hmm.
fucking painted, you know, to the max. So it's like,
and then there's all the little lines that they drop, like when Pele, the guy who brings them to the cult, says stuff like, "My parents died; they burned up in a fire."
Yeah,
so it's
yeah.
clear, like once you see what happened, and then it's like, oh, his parents were the
dude.
human sacrifices.
Right. I didn't even think of that, man. That's
man.
That's good. All right. This is pissing me off because it's like deeper than I wanted it to be.
Right. Well,
it is a good, like, that's the thing. It is shot beautifully, and like some of the tripping scenes and like some of the colors and stuff. There's no doubt that it's cinematically beautiful. It's just, I was just pissed off because it's like, it's just making me cringe this whole time. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, I'm so uncomfortable. Why aren't they getting out of there? Why aren't they? But at the same time, like Florence Pugh's character, she's basically buying into the shit because she just went through a traumatic experience with her whole family pretty much dying. This is an opportunity to get a new family. Her boyfriend's fucking trash.
Oh, her boyfriend is
the worst, dude. The worst. Like, I get it. You're checked out. You wanted to break up with her. You know, you should have done it weeks ago. But then you get kind of caught into like coddling her because she brings all your problems on her or on you. But like that conversation, by the way, at the beginning of the movie where the friends are like, "Oh, I think she's actually just taking up too much." You're like, the black dude or whatever, who's like the intelligent one, he just reads so deep into their relationship immediately. And it's like, who the fuck has these conversations with their friends? But I don't know.
It's a lot, man, and that's the thing. Is it's
the boyfriend's just shitty though.
The boyfriend is so shitty, and Jack Rayner, the cut rate version of Chris Pratt, just great as a shitty boyfriend,
right?
And Will Poulter is so great as like a shitty American horn dog, to the point where even when even the scene where after where he's gonna get killed by the cultists.
Oh yeah, as soon as that girl's like, come on, come with me.
She's like, come on, I'll show you, and he's like, okay, because he's clearly out of his mind. Like, why would you go?
He just pissed on the sacred tree, you know, which if you look around that tree, it's just nothing but ashes, and it's like, oh, these aren't just wood ashes. These are straight up just dead people that have been sacrificed years after years. There's the tree, the little dead tree.
I didn't notice it was covered in ashes.
I mean, the ground around the tree is pretty much just ashes.
Which,
by the way, they cremate those two people that got Gallagher faced, but they cremate them on a fucking like open pit barbecue. Like I'm not a mortician, but I think it takes a little bit more time than just like a day on an open pit barbecue to get somebody into dust.
Well, there's also, I mean, they have that crazy, speaking of like barbecue, they have like the pit, the giant smoker that they're basically burning everybody alive in.
Yeah.
I mean, but that's the thing though, is like, I think a lot of the problem with this movie, in my mind, is not with the actual movie itself, but the marketing of the movie, because they're marketing it as a horror movie. And I don't think it's a horror movie. I think it is very clearly like a relationship drama that also just happens to have a lot of really fucked up imagery in it.
Yeah. Like I like the relationship dynamic. It's easy. Like they paint a very good picture of like, oh, this guy's checked out. He's just there, you know, he's just there trying to take care of her, but he fucking sucks at it. Forgets his birthday, forgets her anniversary, you know. Like the dude's obviously a shitty boyfriend. So it's like you're not really rooting for the guy the entire time. So like that's why you're kind of just cringing, because you don't know who to root for. Because like Florence Pugh, she's buying in, but she's not really buying in all at once. It's not like a clear, oh, now is time to buy in. It's kind of like I'm fucking terrified of this shit. I want out. And then like somebody coddles her and like, you know, that group crying shit that they do, where she's just like, and they're all like, and they're all like crying together. Yeah. And then the guy, when the shitty boyfriend, when he fucks the redhead chick, they're like group moaning, and like all of them are like sitting there like touching their titties and like, this is so weird. Man. He's on shrooms, so he's just like probably like, what the fuck?
I think they gave him more than shrooms, because they had him dust in his face. They had him huffing the stuff. Yeah. Well, the dust in the face, that was the paralyzing stuff. That which by the way, it's got to be one of the fucking worst ways to go. You can't move, you can't do shit, but I'm sure you could probably feel everything. Like that part where it's the crazy sex scene where where the woman grabs the chick's hand and starts singing. Yeah, they all start singing the same tune. I'm just like, oh, this is insane.
Fucking weird.
I remember
it's so weird.
When I saw it in theaters, during that scene, it was the summertime, right? And another movie had let out, and I think it was a kids movie, because a bunch of kids started like screaming in the hallway. And I was like, this sound mix on this movie is crazy, where they're having and all this. Oh no, it's just kids getting out of seeing Despicable Me 3. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Just adds to the hauntedness of it to hear a bunch of screaming children.
Yeah, man. I just like, because it starts with the group moaning, you know, and it's almost like it reminded me of Finding Nemo, where like the birds are like mine, but it's like
yeah, that's the R-rated version of Finding Nemo for sure.
Oh man, I literally have notes where I just wrote weird, so weird.
I am really glad that I got a chance to watch this movie again because of you, Dan. And I will say that I've been in this sort of streak lately where like I've had people talk about a movie that they hate that I love. And instead of me trying to convince them that they should love the movie, I come totally understanding why we have this difference of opinion, because it's just like there's something in this movie that is so hard to get past. Like, I remember, did you hear that they have a director's cut that came out of the movie? that's
Really?
even longer. Yeah, it adds another 20 minutes to the movie.
Yeah,
171 minutes long.
I should look that up because it's like it's fresh on the mind. So I feel like if that would change anything for me, because I mean, they the way it ends is like, I mean, I can understand like
Well, yeah. The way it ends, we should say, just to make it perfectly clear, because the movie does elaborate on all this.
Yeah. So she chooses to buy into the new family. She chooses to basically sacrifice her ex-boyfriend who's a piece of
great.
trash.
He's
anyway.
a total piece of trash. We don't need him.
Yeah.
And she lets him get burned alive.
He
while
gets
she
built
watches.
He gets turned into a Build-A-Bear.
He gets Build-A-Beared, and then he gets Burn-A-Beared.
Oh man, even the two sacrifices that were part of the cult. One of the dudes was not. He wasn't about it. He wasn't trying to get burned.
Oh yeah, and they tried to give him, because they gave him the magic potion. They're like, you're not gonna feel any pain, and then you just hear him screaming in pain.
And then you go back to the group screaming in pain. Flash mob screaming in pain as well.
But that's the thing, is like, you have the shot of Florence Pugh like running around in that crazy flower dress.
I wrote slug of flowers. She looks like a slug of flowers.
She looks like Jabba the Hutt if Jabba the Hutt was covered in flowers.
Oh man,
Jabba the Buttercup.
It makes sense how she could buy into it, and I guess she's got a new man in that guy. The guy that brought her. So,
and she has, but that's the thing. I love that the last shot of the movie is just her watching the fire, and it sort of does that mesh, like the double
the screen over
thing, the overlay.
Yeah,
and it's just her going from that frown, which she hasn't really smiled the entire movie, and then she finally smiles and has this like, oh, I'm free.
Yeah,
and it's just so great.
Yeah, it's definitely conflicting for me, because I my facial expression when that's happening is just kind of like there's no like.
But she deserves it, Dan. She deserves it. Yes, queen.
Yeah, Julia's sitting next to me like, Florence Pugh is a queen. Yes.
Yes. Slay.
Right,
your
slay,
boyfriend.
Bitch, in your dress of fucking flowers.
Cut his lungs
amazing,
out
sweetie.
of his body. Yes.
Oh my God.
Where his skin is a mask.
Oh
yes,
that was another
bitch.
one. That was another one that's just those scenes, man. It was a good watch though. I'm glad I watched it again, because there was definitely some symbolism in there, and like I mean I knew there was layers to this shit. But these aren't layers that I in particular. They're not Trident layers. I don't like to chew on these layers.
Yeah, you don't want these Trident layers. I totally understand that. And that sort of is the best way for me to lead into asking, if you're going to watch a movie where we can say it's a horror movie, but you don't even have to if you don't want to. What's a movie that you would rather watch instead of this?
I feel like everybody, I don't know. I feel like everybody kind of likes this movie, but some people kind of give it some grief. But I feel like one of the movies that made me like the scaredest I had been for a movie that doesn't really have too many jump scares would be Signs.
Oh, Signs is a really unsettling movie.
Because it doesn't really, I mean, there's times like the when he's in the fucking cornfield and he sees the leg of the alien just like barely with the flashlight. That's fucking scary, but like the time where I don't know, the music's really well done, like the that's super well done. But Joaquin Phoenix, when he's sitting in the closet and they're like looking on the TV of like in Brazil, because it could totally fucking happen.
Yeah. And the alien walks past on the screen.
Walks past the like screen, he like the music they play or something. I was like, I remember being as like a 14-year-old kid, just like fucking just terrified, dude.
That movie really is very unsettling. I remember the first time I saw that, I was driving with my mom had this huge Suburban growing up, and so she
the movie in the
we had the movie screen, right?
Nice.
We were driving up to Boy Scout camp. It was and like the other kids in my troop or my whatever the fucking delineation of it was.
Yeah.
And we had Signs on, and when that scene happened, when the alien walked past, the kid sitting in the back grabbed my shoulders and I screamed.
Fuck that!
Which is
Oh,
just,
man.
you don't, I mean, I don't need that in my life, please.
Yeah. That was a good one. I thought one of the Paranormal Activities, I think there was Paranormal Activity, the first, whichever one had like the demon walking in like the powdered footsteps.
Oh yeah, that was the first one.
That was the first one. That one was pretty good.
I did not like Paranormal Activity.
I didn't like
I
the
think it's super
sequels.
overrated.
Yeah, that was one of those jumps. It was a jump scare movie, but at least it was like a well done jump scares, or like you didn't. I don't know.
I just remember seeing Paranormal Activity in theaters and just like even that scene, or even the jump scare at the very end where she's like possessed by the demon and then she runs at the camera. I was just like, this isn't scary. This is just boring.
Yeah.
That's, you know what? I mean, people ask me this all the time. What's a movie that like that everybody thinks is crazy good or scary or whatever, and I don't like? Paranormal Activity. It's overrated. It shouldn't have made millions and millions of dollars at the box office.
They had a good trailer for that, though. I feel
the trailer was really good.
I feel like some of the trailers will get you to like that. Isn't it a shame when you like especially for like a comedy, you're like, oh, this is gonna be fucking hilarious, and then you go to the movies and it's like all the funniest scenes were part of the trailer, and you're like, oh.
Well, that's the beauty of the Paranormal Activity trailers that I saw. I remember they showed them all the time when it was in theaters, which was they didn't show a lot of the movie. Yeah. They showed a lot of people reacting in the movie theater. Those were the ones that I saw, at least. Like they showed them on TV all the time. Right, where people like
grabbing the girlfriend and like
They should do more trailers like that. Like if they had done a trailer for Midsommar where they showed somebody like puking into their popcorn when the guy's leg breaks. I mean, I would maybe have not seen this movie, but now I'm just first with loving this crazy fucking movie.
Or what was the movie that you liked? Spring Breakers. Put a trailer for Spring Breakers, and just reactions to people watching this. Like, what the fuck?
What the fuck is happening?
What is going on?
I mean, I still say this: Spring Breakers is the best use of dubstep music in the entire dubstep canon, because it shows you how you should feel while you're
What about the Joseph Kony video from like 2012?
Oh my god!
I was like, I just remember that I can't remember what band or whatever, but they had like a good dubstep song at the end, and everyone was like, on YouTube,
Kony 2012.
You're like Kony 2020 or Kony 2012 music ? Was like the highest.
Mm-hmm. I think I was DJing at frat parties for a little while when I was in college, and I definitely had people request the Kony 2012 song. But listen, that's up there with like Party in the USA for me. I'm not going to play it unless we are absolutely running out of options.
Yeah, or if you, I played Party in the USA after like my senior year of high school after we won football games. We just like play that in the locker room, Blair.
See, that's fun though. That seems like that's a movie scene right there.
Right.
Well, damn, Dan. This is fun. I'm so glad that even though you felt weird and uncomfortable, I got to watch Midsommar again because of you.
I mean, it wasn't as bad the second time because I knew what I was getting into, and I was definitely looking more for the subtle things. So I feel like I definitely appreciated it more on a second turn. So
well, you know what? That's all I can
Thanks to you, Jay Light.
Dan, where can the listeners find you on the internet if they want to see what else you got going on?
We got the Buku Fire podcast, the Buku Fire podcast. That's on YouTube. Fire. Jay Light's episode is going to be coming out the next day or two. I mean, whenever this podcast probably airs, you'll probably be able to see it. Dan Vear on Instagram and Twitter and all that stuff. So
cool. You can find me at Diet J on Twitter and Instagram. JLightComedy.com for, I'm so excited to actually say this, show dates. Oh my God, shows are happening. Oh my goodness.
What?
Yeah.
In LA?
In LA and elsewhere. Starting a new there's a lot more outdoor shows happening now, and I am starting one. So keep your eyes peeled for those.
That's right. And I think we're actually going to bring the Jungle House comedy show back for Nate's birthday.
Perfect.
So that should be within a month or two.
Go check that out
month, so.
on Dan's social media for all the info there.
Well, this is awesome, man. I appreciate you having me on.
Dude, it was great to have you. Thanks again, Dan. This has been Blockbusting. Go see something good for a change.